AM and 7 Radio Network, broadcasting from AM and FM stations around the country. Welcome to the Small Business Administration Award-winning School for Startups Radio, where we talk all things small business and entrepreneurship. Now, here is your host, the guy that believes anyone can be a successful entrepreneur, because entrepreneurship is not about creativity, risk, or passion, Jim Beach.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another exciting edition of School for Startups Radio. We have a banger of a show for you today. Two amazing guests. First up, Kae Wagner is with us. She is a book promotion branding specialist. What she has done in that space and getting books out there that find recognition and awards and all sorts of things is a must listen, because you're all going to have to write a book. Remember, that's part of the deal. And then we have Mason Dukacek with us. He has a book called Built Right, with a W in front of the word right, as in the name. You'll have to find out. It's about HR, and also this interview is just one of my favorites. It's a double whammy episode where both interviews are A pluses. So I'm excited for you because it's still free and you get to enjoy and learn. I hope to keep you entertained enough so that you'll pay attention to actually learn something. And yesterday I threw it out very rudely without explaining my book, The Real Environmentalist, and I'll run the ad in just a second so you can hear what the book is about, is a finalist for the National Indie Book Awards, or National Indie Excellence Awards or something. It's the top independent publisher award. It's in the top 3 in its category. So I'm very, very excited about that and honored that it was selected. All right, great show. We'll be back in just a second. Buy The Real Environmentalist, please.
Talking no action on climate change? Introducing The Real Environmentalists, the bold new book by Jim Beach. It's not about activists, politicians, or professors. It's about the entrepreneurs, real risk takers, building cleaner, smarter solutions. Not for applause, but for profit. The entrepreneurs in the book aren't giving speeches. They're in labs, factories, and offices, cleaning the past and building clean products for the future. The Real Environmentalists is available now, because the people saving the planet aren't the ones you think. Go to Amazon and search for Real Environmentalist. Thank you.
We are back, and again, thank you so very much for being with us. You know, I want every single one of you to write a book. I think it's such an important part of being an entrepreneur, to share your wisdom and experiences. We all have something to offer the other entrepreneurs in our space, and so I think it's just absolutely critical. I'm very excited today to welcome someone to the show who's going to help you sell more books and develop a better brand for yourself. Please welcome Kae Wagner. She is the president of North Star Marketing and author of a book called The Bold Author's Playbook: 3 Simple Steps to Turn Unknown Books into Perennial Sellers. She had an interesting life. She grew up on a dairy farm, and there you're going to learn the values of hard work, creativity, and resilience. She's just been amazingly successful and has had several bestsellers herself. She writes both fiction and nonfiction. And North Star Marketing is a full-service creative brand and marketing agency based in Pennsylvania. Kae, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you, Jim. Happy to be here.
Do you agree that everyone should write a book, all of us successful entrepreneurs?
I do. I strongly believe that, Jim. I think if you don't do that, you are leaving a huge opportunity on the table.
Why? What are you leaving on the table? I'm not going to make money from it.
No, that's not true, my friend. But the money is going to come in a way that you are not looking at it right now, right? If you are a business owner, a startup, or into your business, the point of writing a book is not to sell books. The point of writing a book is to capture all of your expertise, your story, your solution to a problem, your perspective, get in a book, and then give away as many books as possible to your prospects, to your influencers, to your audience, to your world. That's where the money is.
$5 or $6 a copy off the printer. How many books have you given away? I've given away probably 20 copies of my latest book. How many would you give away?
I give away hundreds. I've given away thousands. So let me tell you a story, Jim.
Please.
Yes. So the first book that I wrote was The Power Principles of Marketing. The second book I wrote was The CEO's Little Black Book on Branding. I had 10,000 of the CEO's Little Black Book on Branding printed. I had 20,000 of the 10 Power Principles of Marketing printed. We sent out books to CEOs and leaders and influencers. And I was then asked, because of those books, I was then asked to get on stages around the country. And I was speaking to CEO groups. I was speaking to VPs of sales and marketing. And inevitably, after a speech, I would get a call from someone who said, VP of marketing maybe, who said, my CEO heard you speak last week, and he said, we should work with you. So I made millions on those books, not through book sales, but because those books opened doors that otherwise would not have opened for me.
All right. Very cool.
That's the power of the book.
How do you know who to send it to and what their address is?
Oh, so we are in the world of technology, right? And Amazon has this really, so you need to publish on KDP on Amazon. That's number one. And then what you can do is you can send a digital book to your prospects. And there's this beautiful thing that happens. You pay for the book, you send them the book, they get the book, they read it. After they read it, Amazon knows that, and then you actually get paid for the book. So to your point of paying $5 for a lead, no. This all is a circle, and it all comes back to you in many, many ways.
So you're only going to email them a digital download?
Yes.
Okay.
It is a digital download. Now, the books that I published originally were all physical books, and I still advocate giving away physical books. Give away as many physical books as you can. And if you buy author copies from KDP, from Amazon, you're going to pay probably anywhere from $3 to $5. Now, let me ask you this, Jim. Is $3 to $5 a high cost for a good lead?
No, that's a ridiculously low cost for a good lead.
Yes. So why wouldn't you give away as many as possible to your target market?
Because they're supposed to buy them.
That's not the premise. You got the wrong premise, Jim. That's not the premise. The premise is to get the book in the right hands because it will pay off.
Okay, so there's really no cost to that other than research time, right?
You mean to build your list?
Yeah, you spend time building a list and then email free copies. It should only cost the time to produce and do the emailing, right?
Yes, yes.
And I can outsource all of that to my VA, can't I?
You should be able to, that's for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is another aspect that I love for your School for Startups. And that is list building. I am obsessed with list building. And I am just publishing a new book called Own the Inbox. And Own the Inbox is the concept of Own the Inbox is about being a consistent, continual list builder because your email list is a business asset. If you are going to do social media, you are actually posting and giving away your content, your information on rented land. You do not own what happens on Facebook or LinkedIn. However, your business asset is yours, no matter what happens to the algorithm, the platform, or, the AI world. Your business asset is your list. And not only that, it is the best way to sell to your prospects. Email marketing is still the strongest way, the best way, the most effective and efficient way that B2B sales are made. So speaking of your VA can help. There are many ways. Actually, I just put together a lead magnet yesterday, no, it was earlier in the week, 25 ways to grow your list. And these are all ways that won't cost you a dime, but will help you to build a robust list. And your list, now please remember this, please, Jim, and all the people listening. Your list is not just data, right? Your list is made up of people. People, if you find the right people for your list, people who are interested in what you offer. And so this is not just random list stuffing. This is being intentional about getting the right people on your list, because this is going to be the mode of communication. This is how people will get to know you. This is how you will make offers. This is how you will continue to be in front of them. It is a critical piece of starting up and growing and scaling your business.
How do you physically build your list? Do you do research? Do you wait for people to come into your network before you add them to the list? What do you do?
So, like I said, there are 25 ways to grow your list.
How do we get the 25-way cheat sheet? Or is that in the next book?
That's in the next book.
Oh, okay.
So I'll send you the link for that and the information for that. You can put that in the show notes.
Great.
But I'll tell you, Jim, one of the easiest ways to do it, and a lot of people really miss this. Every day, you and I and all of the people who are listening to this show email from our personal business email platform, right?
Yes.
You and I have been communicating on email to get this whole thing set up. In the bottom of that email, there's an email signature. Put your information at the bottom so that people can go to your list. Now, people aren't just going to say, hey, Jim, put me on your list, right? You have to have a trade-off for them to give you their name and email address. That is what we call a lead magnet. That is what we call some kind of gift or some kind of, like this thing that I developed, 25 ways to grow your list. You can create that, and people will exchange their contact information for that piece of value. Now, this is not fluff stuff. This is like real value, right? When people get this 25 ways to grow your list, they are going to be able to grow their list as soon as they get this, because the first 3 things are things they can do immediately, and they can do them for free. Like putting your link for your newsletter or for your lead magnet or your download or your ebook in your email, okay? That way people are like, oh, look, I see the title. I want that. Click on it. Takes them to a form. They give you your email, their email address and contact info, and then you send them the download. It's a valuable exchange on both sides. Once they're on your list, then you begin to communicate with them in a consistent and congruent manner. So it's as simple as that. But there are also things that you need to get set up, obviously, right? Like you need an email platform. So,
which one do you like the best?
Kit, hands down.
Which one?
Kit, 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 hands down. People that I work with, I require that they have Kit because it is incredibly robust. And yesterday in their annual conference, they announced some amazing upgrades to the platform. It is by far the most robust, the most sustainable. And not only that, one of my criteria when I pick up a piece of technology or decide on a platform is, does that platform have built within it marketing? And that's why I chose Kit, because Kit has marketing elements built inside of the platform to help anyone who is on that platform to market themselves. It is, it's really phenomenal what they're doing.
Okay, what are your thoughts on traditional publishers, the McGraw-Hills, Penguins, all those people versus self-publishing?
Well, I think the publishing model is broken. When you look at the stats, the number of books that are self-published on Amazon far outpace the traditional publishing books, the traditionally published books. And the reason for that is that Amazon and KDP broke the model. They allowed authors, independent authors, to maintain control over their books, over their payment, over their marketing. That puts really the control in our hands to make our book successful. I have been published with a traditional publisher. I've gone through the process. It is a long, lengthy process with KDP. You can put a book together and get it up on KDP, start to get author copies, and be well on your way to not only growing your list, but growing your business.
I want to tell you a quick story about my very first book 15 years ago. Was called School for Startups, just like this podcast, and it was published by McGraw-Hill. And it did very well. It got to number 9 on, not its category, number 9 on all of Amazon. It was number 9 on the entire damn platform. And
congratulations.
So, yeah, it was number 1 in all of its categories and all that kind of stuff, and ended up with 150 reviews, which is pretty high for a nonfiction, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But I called McGraw-Hill and I said, will you send me a digital copy that I can send to reporters and stuff like that? And they said, no, you may not do that. I was like, wow, boy, are you helpful. And then I spoke at SCORE, the SCORE organization, senior core of retired executives, at one of their big events in New York with Joe Abraham, one of the top entrepreneurial thought leaders. And SCORE was so happy with it that I arranged for a 30-city tour that SCORE was going to pay for Joe and I to go all over the country and talk about our 2 books. And I called McGraw-Hill, so happy, and they said, well, you're not allowed to do it unless we organize it. And I was like, well, it's already organized. We're done. And they're like, no, we need to get involved. And guess what happened next? SCORE canceled the entire thing because the people at McGraw-Hill were so difficult to work with. SCORE was like, we don't want to do it anymore. And so
I know. So they shoot themselves in the foot.
Yes. You remember the movies, Kay, where your publisher is your best friend? Remember Romancing the Stone with Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner, and she's a famous writer, and her publishers are best friends. I thought my publisher at McGraw-Hill was going to at least be my associate, a friend or something. Maybe we'll go out to dinner. She gave me, I want to say 90 seconds. I flew to New York to meet her. She gave me 90 seconds.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's ridiculous. The book that I published with a traditional publisher and was able to get back without litigation, took 2 years. I gave them a completed manuscript. It had already been through editing process and everything. It took them 2 years from that date to publish it. We had a contract that stated that they would be doing X amount of promotions and marketing. That never happened. There was in the contract stated that I would get 25 free copies. Whoop-de-doo, right? 25 free copies. After 2 years and it being published and me pushing and pushing and pushing, they said, no, you have to pay for those copies. I said, it's right here in the contract. And they're like, sorry. So rather than litigate, I waited, and finally I was able, through discussion and conversation and some difficulties on their side, was able to get my book back. So I am not a fan of traditional publishing. I know that authors want to be able to say that McGraw-Hill published them, that, they were on the Times bestseller list, et cetera, et cetera. But in my world, that's not my goal.
I agree. Very well said. Do you want to tell what company you were screwed around with, or do you want to leave that anonymous? Let's just group. How about this, Kay? Let's group all of the hatred toward McGraw-Hill, including whoever you were talking about. Let's just dump it all on MC.
Yeah, we'll just dump it all on them because I'm going anonymous.
Okay, that's fine. What about awards and that kind of stuff? For example, I just found out yesterday that my book is a finalist for the Indie Publishing Premier Book Awards.
Congratulations.
Do we care? Is that going to sell any books, or is that, do you recommend taking the time to go and try to apply for awards?
So here's my perspective on that. Awards are great. I love awards. I love being a bestseller, but you only need one award to be an award-winning author.
Yes, that's right. But I haven't won a book award yet. I have a radio award.
Yeah.
I have a speaking award. Now I have a book award.
Yes. So now you are an award-winning author.
No, I'm a McGraw-Hill multi-best-selling award-winning author.
Yes. That too.
Sounds like verbal masturbation to me, but let's ignore that.
Well, pile it on. I mean, what really counts in the business world and for your audience is, do you have a good book, and do your readers read it, and do they call you and want to engage with you? And all the rest of the stuff is fabulous. To be a bestseller, to be an award winner. Even to sell books is fabulous, but that is not the point in the business world. The point in the business world is to get your book into as many hands, as many clients as possible. If you get stingy with giving out books, you will hurt yourself in terms of growing your business.
Do you know the joke about the man who died not right after, he published a book 20 years ago and died? Have you heard this joke?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, so his son was speaking at the funeral, giving the eulogy and talking about how dad loved his book and, being an author, and how he, would go around giving out copies. And just to let all of you know, he had 9,000 copies left when he died, and they're all at the back of the church here. So please take 5 or 6 copies when you leave, because damn it, I don't know what else to do with them. Not a funny joke, but it captures our essence of this.
Yes, it does. And the thing is when you take on the mindset of getting as many books in as many hands as possible, you will see opportunities that you never saw before. For example, I'll give your readers a tip. I fly a lot. When I go through a hotel with my little, pool bag, I have a book sitting on that bag facing up. And it's like a billboard. It's like a little mini billboard as I walk through the airport. You would not believe how many conversations that starts. So I carry 4 or 5 books with me, because I know by the time I leave and come back home, I will have met 5 people who say, "Hey, what's that about?" And I will give them each a copy.
I went to lunch a month ago to give one of my father's friends a copy, and the guy next to us said, "What's that book?" And I ended up giving it to the guy next to me, who I had never met, and had to drive back and give my dad's friend another copy. So it's 100%
so
right.
That's perfect.
People ask you about it.
So keep a box of books in your car.
What about nonfiction versus fiction? I mean, fiction sells so much better. Am I better off if I have an idea for both? Should I start with fiction just because it'll sell more?
Well, it really depends on what your goals are. I write both. I started with nonfiction, and nonfiction, like I said, made millions for me because I had a plan for what happened after the book. My fiction is fabulous. It's selling really well. I love it, and I love writing both of them. But I write them for different purposes. So fiction is not about solving a problem. Fiction is about entertainment, about, a relief from the hardship of the real world and escape. Although I somehow seem to manage to thread in there some themes and some ideas about business as well, off and on. Right now I'm writing a romance series, and all of the characters, the main characters. The Saturday night series? I don't know. I think it's going to be on Netflix.
No, your series called Saturday Night In?
Oh, Saturday Night at the Trailer Park?
Yeah, in Paris and Philadelphia.
Right. That is the Frankie Girl series, and that is modern fiction. The series that I've just released last week is a romance series. That's a different series. And in that series, the main characters in each book, so it's standalone, each a story on its own, are all women in their late 20s who have been consumed with growing their businesses. They're all startups in about their fourth or fifth year. And so, as women, independent women who are running businesses, they have no time for love. They have no time for men until one day that guy walks in.
Oh, I hate that guy. Steals
Yeah,
all the damn girls, man. I hate that
yeah,
guy.
she hates him too at the beginning.
But then falls in love and they kiss, and then the flower goes away and turns into a beast. I mean, the beast turns into a flower.
Yeah, you know the story, right?
Yes, yes.
But I love writing, period. So I can't not write nonfiction and I can't not write fiction. So I'm multi-genre, as they say. And I find that one influences or affects the other and the same back. And so it's really for me, gosh, I can't tell you, I really can't tell you how much I am in the best position possible right now. I work with authors in the Bold Authors Network. I'm just about to release Own the Inbox, which is going to bring all kinds of authors into a community that's focused on building lists and getting new clients. And I'm writing nonfiction and fiction. So I am one happy camper these days.
Yes. Well, just to let all the listeners know, I have lists that I give out. We build a list of other podcasts that you should be on as a guest, and we have several hundred names and contact information on that list. So we do give that away. I spent 200 hours building that, and so it is a great list, and we do give that away if people want to email in asking for it. So it's only it's only podcasts in the business space. So that's the list that I can give you. To get your list.
That's a great giveaway.
We want to help the listeners as much as we can. Kae, you are amazing, and I love what you have done. How do we find out more and get into your universe?
The best way to get into my universe is to go to boldauthorsnetwork.com. We have weekly a session every Monday from 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern. It's a free session focused on book marketing, fiction and nonfiction. And going to boldauthorsnetwork.com and filling out the sign up will give you notification for Promo Hour. Promo Hour is a community of authors supporting authors focused on promotion, sales promotion, and book marketing. It is free. And it is a very, very supportive community. So boldauthorsnetwork.com is where your people should go to get into my world, and we'll take it from there.
I think I would like to join that network too, and it's Monday evenings.
Please do. Monday from 4 to 5 p.m. I'd like to have you come and speak to our people and then give them your podcast list.
I'd love to. Also, I started a publishing company. We have a company called Startup Publishers who publishes my stuff now. And if anyone wants us to work with you, we're very willing to do that, all the way from just throwing it up on our platform to helping with editing and writing and all of that. So we'll do anything you want. And I'm not trying to make money from that, people. If you have a completed transcript, we'll throw it up there for you and charge you nothing.
So Jim, you're not going to become one of those hated McGraw-Hill people, are you?
No, I just can't. I have other stories too. It's just mind-boggling. What happened, Kae, is the guy who bought our book and signed the deal with McGraw-Hill quit a month later and then went to Penguin. And so our love moved, and so we were stuck with a publisher who was assigned to the book, not someone who had personally made the decision themselves. And so we were SOL there. But anyway, life goes on.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Hey, you're amazing. Thank you so much for being with us, and we'd love to have you back. Thanks a lot.
Thanks. I'll be back.
We are back, and again, thank you so very much for being with us. You know, HR, retention, hiring are some of the hard parts of being an entrepreneur. I didn't really expect that. I didn't like it, and I'm glad that there are some people who can help. Please welcome Mason Dukashek to the show. He is a specialist in this space. He is the CEO of WorkforceAlchemy.com, and he has created the Hiring Suite Assessment System, which will help hire people, I guess. He is a #1 best-selling author of 11 books and has a show of his own called The Mason Dukashek Show. He is a 6-time Ironman finisher, which just blows my mind away. I couldn't do that with a car. Mason, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Jim, I'm doing great. It's a pleasure to be here, and I appreciate the invitation. Thank you.
And also, thank you for your service. I see that you were in the forces for a while. Thank you very much for that. Why Ironman? Why do you have a love for that? You know, for the rest of us, it just seems crazy. Why are you loving that?
I saw it on TV, and I saw people who looked like they were older than me and looked like they were in worse shape than me. And I saw them crossing the finish line, and I thought, if those people can do it, I can do it. And I decided to eliminate the excuses and find out if it was possible for me. And I signed up and surrounded myself with smart, experienced people and went after it, and have been doing it ever since. It's been an amazing culture of amazing people with big goals and extreme capacity. And it's great to be physically, it's nice, but to have the mindset of those people around you all the time transfers into other areas of your life. The decision to sign up for my first Ironman triathlon was one I never regretted.
Is that the one where there's the swim, then the marathon, then the bike?
It's a 2.4 mile swim, and then it's a 112 mile bike ride, and then it is a full marathon, and you have 17 hours to complete it.
And what's your best time?
My best time is 12 hours and 50 minutes. I'm usually middle of the pack guy, front end of the middle, but I'm not a spring chicken anymore. So I'm just glad to finish and look good enough to smile for the pictures.
Well, it blows the rest of us away how impressive that is. So,
well, thank you.
Unbelievable. And just Godspeed to all of you. I can't imagine doing that. I used to live in Hawaii and would watch the race every year from my lanai. So while drinking.
Nice. Well, I assure you, the people participating appreciated the encouragement and support. You never know when you hit a low spot, and just some random person sending you some encouragement really can shift things in a very positive way. So I assure you that if you were out and about and the athletes saw you, that they were appreciative to have your vibe and your energy, feeding energy back to them.
All right. Tell us about the Hiring Suite Assessment System.
Well, you know, I've always believed that people either solve business problems or they create new ones. And Jim Collins, in his book, Good to Great, talked about the most important thing any business could do is get the right people on the bus and into the right seats. But he didn't tell them how to do it. And if you don't mind, I'll tell you a quick story.
We love stories. Stories are the essence of radio. Go.
So I'm not a gambler by any stretch. I like to think of myself as a calculated risk taker. But the first time I went to Las Vegas, I was with one of my buddies from high school. His name was David. And we rolled in, and there's a beautiful casino, and the lights were flashing, and we were overwhelmed. And he's like, "Come on, let's gamble." And I just looked at him. I said, "Dave, is this a nice place?" He's like, "Yeah, it's beautiful." I said, "How do you think it got that way?" I said, "It didn't get this way by guys like me and you coming in off the street and cleaning them out. The odds are against us." And I've always felt that hiring is like that the house always wins. It's stacked against the employer. There's questions the government limits what you can ask. Applicants lie on applications and resumes all the time. And it's very, very difficult. And when you ask employers, using your traditional selection methods, you've hired good employees, they'll say, sure. Using those exact same methods, you've hired people you wish you hadn't. Sure. Well, what have you learned? Well, what I've learned is that what we're doing can't effectively help us predict with any reasonable degree of certainty the likelihood that someone's going to succeed. And and a lot of organizations literally look at hiring like gambling, like it's hire and hope. And it doesn't need to be that way. And it's not a surprise when you think about it. I mean, background checks only show you that someone's been caught and successfully prosecuted. But what about people who did things they weren't supposed to but weren't caught, or weren't prosecuted successfully even though they did it? applicants typically don't give out references of people who are going to say negative things about them. Companies say they do drug tests, which tells the applicants, hey, you need to stay clean for 30 days. And interviews are only as sound as facts in which they're based. And like I said, applicants embellish on applications and resumes all the time. So the deck really is stacked against them. But smart employers are learning how to reverse the odds. And they're utilizing everything in their power to gather as much job-related information as they can so they can make informed decisions instead of decisions based on gut feel. And when they get it right, they save a fortune. When they get it wrong, it costs them a fortune. And the hiring suite you asked about, those are specific skill, attitude, and personality-based assessment tools that help companies find out ahead of time what they're going to get so they can evaluate risk and reward and make better decisions.
What percent do you think are lying on their resume?
The things that I've seen say about 1/3, I've seen articles that say 70% of applications are embellished. I've seen some that say a third will stretch it in an interview. So let's just say right down the middle, you got 50% accurate information from applicants. The bigger issue is you don't know which half is the truth, yet you're still expected to make a valid hiring decision, an informed hiring decision, and you don't know you can't separate fact from fiction. And the best assessment tools actually have what industrial psychologists refer to as lie scales, built-in questions that are likely to trip up an applicant who's trying to fake good or tell you what they think you want to hear. Imagine if you had that in an interview.
So
Some
what kind of
applicant gives you.
Give me an example of one of those. I don't know about that.
I'll give you a perfect example. One example might be, I've never argued with my parents.
Okay, well, that's the dumbest.
So
100% of people have. So
here's what we're getting. That someone who's going through the assessment and answering it honestly would say, yes, I've argued with my parents. Next question. But someone who's trying to fake good or tell the employer what they think the employer wants to hear, they will overthink a question like that. They'll say, gee, if I admit that I argued with my parents, this employer might think I would argue with coworkers or supervisors or customers. And I don't want them to think I'm argumentative. So I'm going to say, no, I've never argued with my parents.
Very interesting. I've heard that the CIA, when they're hiring people, and I actually was recruited by some secret or government organization. I can tell that story later if we need to. But I've heard that, they ask about drugs and stuff when you go. And if you deny ever having tried any drugs, that's a negative because they think that most people have tried. Like 80% of the population has tried pot, and if you say, no, I've never done any, that actually increases the amount of back checking they're going to do into you.
Well, let me share another story with you. This one's the one Tony Robbins talked about in his book, Awaken the Giant Within. He talked about the story of a man standing on the shores of a river, and he looks up and he sees this person getting washed down the stream in the current, hollering for help. So he dives in, he makes a daring rescue, pulls the drowning victim to safety, and tends to his wounds. No sooner does he lift his head, he sees two more people coming down the stream hollering for help. So he dives in, he makes two more rescues, pulls both of them to shore, lies on the beach exhausted. No sooner does he lift his head, he sees four more people hollering for help. The moral of the story is, had he just taken the time to walk a short distance upriver, he could have found out who the one person was throwing all these people in the river in the first place and saved all his time and energy dealing with a single cause upriver as opposed to the many effects downriver. And when you start talking about things like employment testing and honesty and drug use, you want to reduce employee theft? Hire honest people. You want to reduce fraudulent workers' comp? Hire people who lie about being hurt. And there are employment tests that measure things like integrity and attitudes towards substance abuse. I mean, if you have people coming to work under the influence of drugs, and guess what? You might see increases in injury. You might see, if you don't hire people, you don't measure for things like reliability. You might not have people showing up, which means you're paying other people overtime. Or you don't measure work ethic. You're hiring people who are given half effort. And and the odd thing about this is on some of the questions, like we talked about the questions to find out if someone was distorting or lie scale questions, but
right.
A lot of cases, parents don't teach selective values. So, some
what do
parents
you mean
will
they don't teach selective values? What is that? What is a selective value?
A parent who takes the time to teach their child that honesty is best policy probably taught them things like a job is a privilege and an honest day's work for an honest day's pay. So what smart employers are figuring out is they can assess the presence or absence of a whole core set of values or absence of them easily. And the sad thing is, like some of these questions, like have you ever done drugs, or is it okay to let me think of a different one. It's okay to take something that doesn't belong to you from the employer because the employer expects so much and pays so little. There might be people who will say yes to that, and they don't feel, or taking something from work isn't bad as long as I intend to bring it back. And the reality of it is that those high risk attitudes, there are people like, for example, I asked the industrial psychologist who built this tool, I said, why would people admit to stealing or doing drugs or not showing up for work when they're applying for a job? Wouldn't they be on their best behavior? And he smiled at me. He goes, well, the ones that are trying to fake good, we pick up with the distortion and the lie scale score. He goes, but the other ones, they really don't know any better. I go, what do you mean? He goes, Mason, have you ever broken the speed limit? And I'm like, sure, of course I have. He goes, why would you admit to that? You're admitting to breaking the law. And I just innocently replied, well, everybody speeds. And then the little light bulb went off above my head, and he was trying to teach me something, that people that haven't been taught values, that haven't been work ethic hasn't been instilled in them, they don't feel any more guilt or remorse admitting to stealing or doing drugs or not showing up for work than you or I would feel about breaking the speed limit. And they admit it readily. And the whole purpose is to be able to ask those questions and to get that information so you as an employer can make informed decisions about what you're dealing with. People look at cost of turnover. Cost experts say that the cost of turnover is about 16% of someone's annual salary for an hourly worker, 21% of their annual salary for a professional level employee. And when you start talking executives, you're talking 150 to 213% of their annual salary. So if a 40K a year hourly employee, you make a mistake, that's a $6,400 mistake. If it's a $65,000 a year professional, that's a $13,000 mistake. And I'm not convinced the cost of turnover is even the biggest issue. I think the bigger issue is what happens when you get the wrong people and they stay. I had a client who had a payroll of 10 million. And I asked him, I said, what's the discretionary effort of your average employee? And he said, because he'd seen the Gallup survey results. He said, probably 50%. I go, you got 10 million in payroll and you're getting 50% effort out of your employees. So that sounds like about a $5 million a year profit leak. I said, if someone was embezzling $5 million a year from you, how long would you wait to fix it? He goes, I'd fix it right away. I go, why haven't you? And it was silence. And the answer was he didn't know how. And that's the kind of work I do with companies.
Very interesting. Absolutely fascinating. Let's talk about the book a second. Built
Sure.
Right, and it's W-R-I-G-H-T, but the W is a different color than the rest of the letters there on the cover. Very good cover. Built Right, what it takes to build something that lasts. Tell us about the book and what you're hoping to achieve with it.
Sure. That book is a brand new one, and it just came out just a couple months ago. And I interviewed a guy by the name of Bryant Wright, W-R-I-G-H-T, on my podcast, The Mason Dugacek Show. And he is a Hall of Fame coach in the state of Missouri. And in the last 17 years, the worst finish that his boys cross country team has had at the state championship cross country meet in the last 17 years, the worst finish was second place. He won 8 of them in a row, and no one's ever done it before. And I had him on the show. I said, how did you do it? And he started dropping wisdom on me that every business owner, manager, team leader, nonprofit leader could benefit from, because he understood that winning now and winning later are not mutually exclusive choices. And he built a culture where kids voluntarily put out effort to suffer, i.e. long distance running. And they repeated success year after year. And I told him, I said, Brian, it's not like you got lucky and you just had a couple great athletes. He goes, we did a couple of years, but not for 17. And I go, fair enough. And I go, well, maybe your training programs are better than everyone else's. He goes, well, you'd think, but he goes, I spoke at a coach's clinic and I gave all the coaches there my exact training program from June all the way through November. So I gave every one of my competitors my exact training programs. I held nothing back. So it's not that. I said, well, what's the difference? I said, maybe you're just a better motivator. And he's like, well, I like to think so. He goes, but I knew I was going to retire. And I had my assistant coach, Wes Armbruster, take over the girls team the last 3 years. And I go, how'd they do? He goes, well, they got third his first year coaching, and they've done back-to-back state champs ever since. I said, Bryant, you're doing something amazing. I want to know what it is. And he started dropping wisdom on me, things that I'd never thought of that really apply to employee engagement. One of the things that there are 2 ideas I'll share with you quickly that I think will benefit your audience. Number one was he said, Mason, I want discipline in my absence, not compliance in my presence. And I built a culture where accountability went sideways first before top down. He said, not that I couldn't step in and tell the guys train harder or give more effort. He goes, but I built a culture where those guys knew if they had to win, they all had to work and give out effort every day. And I said, well, what does that look like? He said, well, the old way is the coach stands at the corner of the track, yelling splits and tells them to hurry up if he thinks they're loafing. He goes, my guys, if they're out on a road run where I'm not present, if they see one of the guys slacking or not doing well, and they've got a group of guys, a couple of them will drop back and say, come on, hang with us. You can do it. Let's reel those guys in. And it's purposeful. No one feels alone. That was huge to me. And I said, I mean, how many times do you see at work where the new guy just gets left to figure things out on his own versus someone say, hey, we don't leave new guys. That's not who we are. That's not what we do. We have a different and a better culture than that. And that was a big takeaway for me. And the other big takeaway for me was he talked about belonging was first. He said, Mason, he goes, I might have a chubby freshman that's never run before that might be the best runner in the history of our program, but we'll never know it if he never comes out or he quits because he doesn't feel belonging. He goes, I want every member of our team to feel like they belong before they contribute or produce a single result. He goes, because if we don't, then it sends a message that some people matter more than others. And the people who are seniors and they're the ones who win in races, he goes, they lean in and everyone else plays it safe and leans back and they don't give their best effort. He said, I want everyone to feel that they belong. And he goes, and then what happens is when I'm just scratching the surface, but he literally told story after story that really gave an idea of what a winning culture looks like, not only for now, but in the future. And he's been able to he figured it out. And I think every business owner and manager can benefit from stuff like that. So I downloaded the transcript from my interview with him and we turned it into a book. And that book is called Built Right, WRIGHT, what it takes to build something that lasts.
That's
Thanks
really
for asking
interesting.
about that.
The accountability traveling sideways is a huge premise of Japanese culture. And in Japan at a business, if there's a slack employee, the other employees are punished, not the slack employee. And you're supposed to go and help embrace the guy who's not doing it. And if you don't, you get punished. So it's interesting that it's an American, but we don't have a word for it. We have to use 4 words, whereas Japanese have 1 word for it.
I'll give you a classic example. This happened to me Friday night. Friday night, I went to a very nice Mexican restaurant, and my server was excellent. She was polite. She was friendly. The food was spectacular. But I pulled the manager aside afterwards, and I told him, I said, your server was excellent. Your food was fantastic. I said, but you guys have a missed opportunity. And if the roles were reversed, I would want to know this. So if you're open to it, I'm happy to share my feedback in hopes that you can do it. He goes, Mason, I've been here since 9 this morning. I get out at midnight. I said, I understand you're working hard and I know you care. That's why I want to tell you. I said, what's that? I said, you had missed opportunity. I said, I was out in the sun all day. I was super thirsty. I went through waters like crazy, and your server checked on me on a regular basis, but I went through water faster than she did, than she could get back to me. I said, I had it empty, and twice it was empty, where more than 5 people came by. Not one of them helped her out and noticed that it was that way. Not one. I said, some of them came by multiple times. So that happened twice because I had 2 empty waters. And I actually went up to the bartender because I was dying of thirst. The bartender filled it, and then I drank it, came back, bartender filled it again. Bartender didn't tell the server, hey, one of your guys has been up here twice asking for water. I said, each one of them was focused on doing their job. But is someone with a built right culture where everyone looks out like, this is not who we are. This is not our identity. We don't leave none of us will allow any guest's table to sit empty with water. We will all pitch in and make sure that, because that is a reflection on all of us. And I told them, I said, every one of your individual performers did what they were supposed to do to perfection. Your server checked on me regularly. Your bartender did a great job. He took care of me right away, gave me the water, but he didn't take the extra step of saying, gee, why is this guy empty? Who's serving her? Like, no one went out of their way to check anything other than what they were doing. And it's just like, that's the difference of a culture where you got the silos versus a team. And Bryant Wright figured out how to build a team with that kind of culture where everyone looks out for everyone. And it's amazing. I mean, just Google Bryant Wright, Festus, Missouri, and what this guy's accomplished is legendary. And and the cool thing about talking to him, and in full disclosure, I've known him since high school, actually middle school. We were teammates. He was a year younger than me, and he has had wisdom, has had, and does continue to have wisdom beyond his years. But I was very, very glad to catch his wisdom, and get it into print.
There's also a chapter in the book called "Winning is the Dangerous Part." How is winning dangerous? Do you get complacent? Is that what that's talking about?
That's exactly what that is. That's exactly where that goes. It's when people, oh, we don't have to do this. Oh, we don't have to do that. And I'll give you a real life example. In a lot of cultures, work-wise, I remember when I was an athlete, we grew up and it was, freshmen grab the coolers. Freshmen set up the tents. Not in Bryant's organization. It's the state champions and the seniors that lead by example. They set the standard. Like, we carry the coolers, we carry the tents. We'll show you how to set this up. Everybody, they lead by example, and they expect nothing of anyone else that they won't do themselves. And they protect those standards. Like, this is how we do things. This is how we operate. Because they know that if we're state champions, we don't have to do this, or we don't have to work hard on this, or we're already running faster than everyone else, like, that's where stuff goes south. And those guys guard their standards like their life depends on it. And I was there I actually witnessed the year they won their 8th state championship in a row. And I will tell you, and I know the kids on that team, I know parents whose kids are on that team, and for those kids that won the 8th straight championship, those kids were in like 3rd or 4th grade the last time that Festus guy didn't win the state championship in cross country.
Amazing.
And they did not want to be the ones that let that streak drop.
And then the culture must outlive you. How do I make the culture survive after I'm gone?
Well, that I would talk about how he has instilled those principles with his assistant coach so that he can actually step away, and the assistant coach walks in and in the last 2 years won back-to-back state championships with the girls. It's like it's a system. It was not dependent upon Bryant Wright. Now, he helped engineer it and nurtured it, but it's like one of my old mentors when I was a young salesman. I worked for a national sales trainer right out of college, and John Hauser was my sales manager, and he told me something I've never forgotten. He said, how would you treat a garden that was your only source of food? Would you plant healthy crops, keep the weed that's out, fertilize it, water it regularly, care for it, build fences around it? He goes, how would you tend to a garden that was your only source of food? That's how you treat your people. And Bryant Wright figured out how to do that with his team.
Excellent. I can't wait to read this one. It looks like a great one, Mason. How do we get in touch, find out more, get a copy of the book? Boy, we burned through 22 minutes and a half second listening to you. How do we get in touch?
My pleasure. Workforcealchemy.com is our company website. I'm available. I'm very active on LinkedIn, and it's Mason Duchek, Duchatschek, and Mason just like the jar. I also host the Mason Duchek Show podcast, which is on all the major channels, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, all of those. And all of my books are on Amazon.com.
Fantastic. Mason, great stuff. Thank you for being with us, and we'd love to have you back. You were great. Thanks a lot.
It was a pleasure. Thank you, Tim.
We are out of time, but you know what we do. That's right. We come back tomorrow. Be safe, take care, and go make $1 million.